Good evening from London, wrestling fans. You're listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. And of course, today it's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It means it's time for some AEW Dynamite. But that's not all to talk about AEW related, because QT Marshall has also departed the company. We've got a lot to talk about, and for that, I need a stacked panel to help guide me through this show. And let's kick things off with the co-host of the show, Clark Taylor. Clark, how are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm stoked to be here as always. It is Wednesday, and I do know what that means. I also thought it was QT Marshall. I don't know. I've never shopped at Marshall's, but I don't know the difference. It's news, but other than that, I'm actually excited to get into this Dynamite all around. It's been a fun week of pro wrestling all around. Wrestling in the news is always a good thing, and we've got more wrestling on tap once again tonight with AEW Dynamite. I'm stoked to get into it.
Absolutely, we do. And you Americans, you just pronounce things weirdly. That's what I'll put that down to. But also joining us, we have Shad. Shad, how are you on this fine Wednesday?
I'm doing good, Ben. You know, as my man Clark likes to say, the Tuesday night delight is in the house. The key chapter king of the Tiffany Stratton fan club. We in the building, but we're here to talk about AEW Dynamite. A lot of great topics going on. It's supposed to be a banger episode, so let's get into it.
Absolutely. And last but not least, we have the man who goes by several different names, but today he is Carter Crisp. Carter, how are you?
I'm doing good, Shad. I am interested in membership in that club, so I'll send you my email after the show. But I'm good. I'm sick, barely alive, but I have good news that the real Jim Cornette has bought a refrigerator with a television screen on it that shows him what's inside the fridge when the door is closed. So I'm doing good. Jim Cornette's doing good. I'm excited to be here.
Well, that might be the most random opening to a show, but I hope you feel better
I'll
soon,
say
Carter.
this, though. Best recovery since Elton Prince. Quickest recovery since Elton Prince. Without question.
That's true.
Carter
that's
Crisp,
true,
I mean,
that's very
bounced
true.
back in what, 2-3 days?
Mm-hmm.
Remarkable stuff. Remarkable
That is.
stuff. Of a Thanksgiving illness from what one of your cousins, right? Obviously gave it to you, Carter.
Yeah, relative.
Yeah.
My nephew got me sick too. Funny enough.
There you go. Shot as well.
Don't
I
hang
knew
out.
Thanksgiving was
Don't hang
a bad
out with
idea.
family, man. Yeah, you're lucky you don't celebrate it out there in the UK.
Everyone's
I
just
know.
bringing germs around.
Family. Anyway, let's now move on and let's talk about family. Let's talk about Clark's family because we got Laurie Taylor in the
Speaking of
comments.
family, love
Shout
my
out,
mama.
Laurie. And we've also got Numero One Superfly saying hello, and of course Bobby Petito. Hello, Bobby. Hello to everybody
Bobby.
watching this show. Also, before we get into, the actual interesting wrestling stuff, I need to give a quick disclaimer for today's show that Arsenal are currently playing. So if at any time you hear me let out a big go, that's why. But now let's get straight into things.
If you hear a deep sigh, it's the other way.
I think I'll have to mute my mic if it goes the other way. But now let's go straight into QT Marshall leaving AEW. He put out a statement on Monday night saying that he has decided to leave AEW. He was a vice president there as well as a producer. And I mean, he was very high up in the company. He was very high up in the company since, it started in 2019. And that's something which I don't think a lot of people realize, right? Of course, he wasn't on screen much, but this guy played such a pivotal role in AEW. And now he's gone. And he thanked Tony Khan. He said that he loved it there, but the company was now going in a different direction. And that line, those two words there, different direction, have caused a lot of debate online about what could he mean by the company's going in a different direction, Clark.
I mean, I'm not panicking. QT Marshall, more talented than I think people realize, does a lot more backstage than maybe on screen. He's also appeared AAA. He's appeared in a
Yeah.
bunch of different independent promotions lately. It's hard to also hold that position and work all those indie dates. Different direction could be as simple as the company is demanding more of me in the position I'm in than I'm willing to give because I still want to work independent wrestling dates. I still want to work as a wrestler. I want more in-ring work. It could be that simple. I think we're overlooking this slightly myself.
Yeah.
Now, the timing of it, given what we saw at Survivor Series, given the last few months, it's easy to read into this one, I think. But let's, if you really zoom out, that could mean almost anything. Not almost anything, but you know what I'm saying, right? It could mean something as simple as that, right? The time demanded of me is not the time I was willing to give. And so I'm
Yeah.
moving on. And
No,
the thank
that's
you part is
fascinating.
telling. And I think that would be my guess.
Yeah. No, I mean, Clark, you made a great, you made a great point in there that maybe he, just wants to do something else as well, And I don't think anybody, well, at least anybody with any common sense, thinks that the nail in the coffin for AEW is QT Marshall, right? He might be
Right.
good, and he's not just good, he's great, he's done a lot for the company. But they can survive without him, they can carry on without him. But one thing which can't carry on without him is QTV. And this was something which, we've talked at length about. Some people like it, such as myself. I thought it was entertaining. But at the same time, right now, AEW need to kind of stick to what they're good at and tell serious stories with a lot of serious wrestling, within some comedic stuff sprinkled in. But they don't want to compete with WWE directly with sports entertainment stuff because, well, at the minute, they're not going to win. They need to stick to, what got them to the fight. So I guess QTV is not a priority. But what do you do with all that talent? I mean, John Morrison, Johnny TV, whatever you want to call him. I mean, that's a big name to just not do anything with.
I agree, but also John Morrison logically sliding in as the host of a QTV-esque segment, Johnny TV segment, is not the worst idea. There's still plenty of TV talent there in that group. I don't think that's even that big of a killer. And I don't, as entertaining as that segment was, I don't know how big of a needle mover it was at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
It was more of like a baseline thing where you felt like it was something that could be built upon. And the time to build upon it never really, it's not that it wasn't given. It's just the time that it was in existence was short because QT is leaving. And so if we want to keep a segment similar, you gave the name right there, John Morrison, Johnny TV, Johnny Dynamite, whatever you want to call him, Johnny Elite, logically slides right in there as your host. And I mean, I think you keep the train rolling anyway, and it's not a huge issue. Yeah, I think
him.
more telling though what you was the stuff you were talking about as far as like the sports entertainment versus wrestling and what brought you to the dance. I mean, I don't view QT Marshall as a sports entertainer necessarily, right? That was kind of outside of his wheelhouse. I thought he was more involved in kind of the workhorse stuff. If you look at the matches he produced, at least the taste, yes, he showed a bit of the entertainment side in what he was doing as a veteran out there carrying the mic and doing that. But stylistically, I wouldn't necessarily view him as like the representation of sports entertainment in AEW. I think there's wrestlers that are closer to that part of wrestling than QT. I mean, Ricky Starks is closer to a sports entertainer than QT Marshall by miles in my eyes, but I still think he's a great bell-to-bell wrestler, right? There's plenty of names you can name in that. Orange Cassidy is closer to sports entertainment than he is to just pure wrestling in certain ways. I think as much as I think the timing of the statement is what made it more of a headline worthy statement than anything else, right?
Yeah, no,
If it
I
happened
will agree
2
with you
weeks
there.
ago, I don't even know that this is something that we discuss at length, right?
Yeah,
We bring it up, but we
that's a
don't
good
discuss
point.
it at length.
That is a good point indeed. But I mean, we do have a comment, and this is to your exact point right there, Clark. If this was a couple of weeks ago, we probably wouldn't have spoken about it. But of course, now a lot of AEW names are jumping to WWE, and Bobby Petito is asking, do you guys think QT Marshall will be going to WWE? Shard, your thoughts?
Will QT Marshall go to WWE?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. There's a big reason why, from reports and speculation of what was going on prior to it, him and Mr. Phil Brooks don't get along. I don't think he's that much of an asset. No offense to him, for WWE to want to sign to kind of collude with what you have with CM Punk. You're bringing CM Punk in off of a new guard of a situation, brand new chapter, new page. You don't want to muddy anything up. You don't want to bring a distraction or a reason that may cause him to, go through the same exact reasons of him maybe wanting to leave AEW, but with a conflict of interest working with a specific person. I feel like those two may need to be in separate brands. Plus, it does seem like from what he was saying in his initial quote, he has visions of being a superstar within himself, kind of
Hmm.
creating his own path as a professional wrestler too. I feel with what you asked initially is this concerning? Is this a bad sign? I wouldn't say it's a bad sign, but it is interesting because this is a guy who's been with the promotion for a while, has played a lot of different roles, wore a lot of different hats, had great relationships with a lot of young talent, and he's deciding to want to up and leave because he feels the vision is different. Is AEW changing the guard? Are they going a different direction of what they're going to do? I don't know. It opens, reasons and questions to see what's going on behind closed doors. So it's something that we'll probably need to monitor for the next few months. Will this be a more of a reoccurring thing with other talents? I mean, this isn't something that is not, a common thing that happens in any wrestling promotions. We see it happen in WWE, see it happen on Impact before, NWA, whatever it may be, New Japan. So it's something that we're gonna have to monitor and see. But I wish the best for him. I think he is a person that can do a lot of good things. The Impact Wrestling could use him.
Yeah.
NWA could use him. He could kill the indie scene. He's a talented guy. He's a bright mind. But I don't think it's a big loss for AW as an on-screen character because I don't think he was doing a whole lot. And I think it's better for those people in QTV to be out of that gimmick because a lot of those people were talented.
I mean, that's actually a great point, Shard. I mean, QTV, I thought as a segment was gold. I thought it was something which is would just break up a show and be very entertaining. But then when you put in, real proper top level guys such as a Powerhouse Hobbs or even Johnny
Mhm.
TV or Johnny Not on TV in there,
It's
it doesn't really work. It does kind of need to be, just entertaining. Talents, but goal! Arsenal have scored in that game, but
Let's
we won't
go.
get into that too
Let's
much.
go.
But somebody else who's an Arsenal fan is, of course, Carter. I mean, Carter, how are you? Wait a second. Is this? Oh, it's Kai Havertz as well. Get in. But Carter, what about you? How are you feeling right now about, QT Marshall leaving All Elite Wrestling?
I mean, I found the criticism really funny as a fan of, as we call, real grappling. Shout out Ignacio. I mean, the fact that he said that Tony Khan wants to focus on New Japan style wrestling, as someone who's a fan of the indies growing up and who's loved that style of wrestling, to kind of the fact that we have a billionaire funding New Japan style West wrestling in the West, that's amazing. I'm like, that's if you told me 10 years ago that, hey, the son of the owner of the Jaguars is going to basically put PWG on national television, I'd be like, that's great. So, I mean, I think the two products, as they compete, we win as wrestling fans. So that's only a good thing.
Yeah.
I just find it funny. Imagine a football player saying, how this guy's a little too focused on the product on the field. That applies to American and British football, by the way. But I mean, why is the WWE great? Because of guys like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens who cut their teeth in the indies and really, why do I not respect Logan Paul? Because he didn't do that. I mean, sorry, I had to throw that in
Ooh,
there. But
ooh,
I mean,
this.
Focus
so.
on real wrestling, and the product's going to be great. And so I don't think it's a real loss for AEW. I mean, I think he'll go on to be okay. I mean, he considering everything he said, he should probably do the Matt Cardona thing and just kind of go crazy in the indies. But I think if anything, it's kind of tells you that Tony Khan's doing a good thing and setting up a challenger brand. That's a very different product from the main one, and that's a good thing for all of us.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, David talked about it at length the other week, right? We need AEW to be AEW and WWE to be WWE, because if AEW is going to try and be WWE, they will lose, because they're just not competing with WWE right now. That is just the reality of, how things are going. But let's now move on. Let's move on to tonight's AEW Dynamite, because it's an absolutely, we know currently we're just in the middle, well, right at the start really, of the Continental Classic, and I'm getting the table up for it right now. But tonight we're gonna be having Mark Briscoe, who of course lost last week, against Roosh. And this match, right, and I feel like I'm going to be saying this about a lot of matches in the Continental Classic, is one which is going to go under the radar, but could just be a little bit of a banger, don't you think, Q Clark?
Did Roosh beat Jay? Did he go over Jay Lethal or not? I cannot remember on that.
I believe he did go. I'm trying to get the table up right now.
I'm so sorry.
I believe he did.
I thought this would be a logical draw scenario because we haven't really seen that played out yet, and I think that's kind of a part of the tables thing. But given that Briscoe took the loss and Roosh got a win,
Roosh lost to Swerve Strickland.
He lost as well. I believe this will be a draw. This will be a time limit draw, in my eyes.
Sorry to Jay White. Sorry,
Jay White. I said
White,
Jay Lethal, by the way, too, because I was looking at the table earlier, so I messed up too. We all messed up.
I've got it up now. I've got it up now.
Roosh took the loss to Jay Lethal. Mark Briscoe took the loss to John Moxley. We're good. We've got Jay Lethal wrestled Swerve. Thank you, Shad, over here in the private chat. That is a great point. They had White and Lethal next to each other so I saw the two J's. I read the wrong name. That was very silly of me. And not the point though. In my eyes, I think this is a logical spot for a draw. Both get a point in the bracket. This isn't one where one needs to go over the other. And given this table that they have and the size of it, this is a logical spot for a time limit draw. And I think we see one. If I was choosing who I want to go over, Mark Briscoe. I'm a huge Briscoe fan, so I'd love to see Mark Briscoe go over. But at the end of the day, I think this is the time where, it's draw time. And this will go to the end and it'll be a draw. 1 point each.
I do agree. I agree that tonight's going to be draw time, but not in this match. I think Roosh is going to get that victory because, I think Mark Briscoe, unfortunately, is going to finish bottom of the group. Well, actually, maybe he'll finish above Jay Lethal, right? But I do think Roosh is going to actually shock a lot of people and maybe even come in third. Maybe even finish higher than either Swerve, Mox, or White, one of them.
Oof.
And finish third in that group and just be a complete shocker there. But I'm really interested in this match. But something else which is quite interesting is everybody has competed once in this tournament now. And in fact, these guys tonight are competing for a second time, apart from Bryan Danielson and Andrade. It's like, when's that match going to happen? Like, should Danielson really even be in this tournament if he's not able to compete yet? Like, what?
Will that not main event Collision?
Well, yeah, but it should be Danielson's next match, which is on this week's Collision. So they're 1 week behind Andrade and Danielson, behind everybody. It makes no sense.
You can catch up on that, and even then,
it's unfair.
If you think about the World Cup tables and stuff, like given the game times for programming, you always have to adjust that. There's always a team that's
they always got the same time.
Less,
for fairness,
no, there's always a team.
They got the same time.
Always a team that's had more rest than the other. One had to play yesterday, one had to play 2 days ago. That's always been a part of the game. That's part of the deal. One has more recovery time, and there's that big negotiation about like, oh, well, they're fresh off the win and they're fresh off of a draw, but the draw happened 2 days ago, so they've had 2 days to rest their legs and da-da-da-da-da. That's always been a part of sports. It happens in baseball, it happens in basketball, and American football as well. I think, while I hear where you're coming from on the Danielson thing, not worried about it. You can always play catch up on that.
Here's the issue, though. Here is an actual issue, right? Jokes aside, I understand that, and I understand in football sometimes fixtures have to be, rescheduled, and that does happen, right? That's a real thing. My issue with this is clearly Danielson was not cleared last week. Clearly, that's the
Right.
issue. And your solution to that issue is to 1 week now have him play catch up and wrestle twice in 1 week, which means they're just back from injury, right? When he wasn't even cleared at the start of the tournament, you're now making him work two
Are we
singles
sure he wasn't
matches.
cleared?
Well, why else was he the only person not to compete, him and Andrade?
Maybe, I don't know, family obligation, Thanksgiving.
I don't know. I mean, maybe. I mean,
Requested
maybe. I
time
don't
off?
think that's right. He was there last week though.
I mean, I don't know. He's a big
He just
family
didn't
guy.
wrestle.
He's got multiple kids. Big old get
Well,
together.
you don't want to mention
Gotta make it.
Family Guy and AEW in the same sentence anymore because Family Guy is always winning that every week. But anyway, now let's move on
Wow.
and let's. I really hope that doesn't hurt their viewership. Come on, guys. Let's rally behind AEW's viewership because I really want them to increase it. But now let's talk about the next
I'm
match.
picking Stewie Griffin every week, bro. He's a bigger draw than Orange Cassidy. But go ahead.
Hot take. That's a
Stewie
real.
versus Orange Cassidy at Revolution.
Forbidden Door.
The true Forbidden Door. Family Guy versus AEW.
Could you imagine
But
they
now,
animated that match? That'd be a lot of green screen time for Orange.
goal! We're 2-0 up. Jesus has scored. But now let's talk about another person whose name begins with J, and that is Jay White, because Jay White will be taking on Swerve Strickland. And I previously mentioned in my last take that I think one match tonight will be going to a time limit draw, and that is this match. But I do think it'll be a very fun one. Shad, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this one is a tough one to kind of book off for that reason because these are two arguably top of the food chain competitors, two of the top heels on your roster, and they're going against each other, which makes these blocks so interesting and just gotta love these type of tournaments that you get to have these type of matches because normally it may have not been booked like that. Obviously, them both being heels, so I'm excited for the match. I think it's gonna be one that will not disappoint at all. But I I'm gonna go with Swerve picking up more momentum and he's gonna win. I feel Jay White is kind of booked in a situation where he can find a way to lose and it's gonna add pressure to make him, continue and get some more wins and whatnot. I feel like a draw would be a smart idea just because you kind of keep both of them safe in that manner. And it very well might be that. But I just feel like the momentum is super hot with Swerve right now, where he's looked at as the favorite for this entire block and possibly winning it all. Where I just feel like you got to ride the hot hand and just continually make him look stronger and stronger. Like a win over Jay White, like that's kind of big for his resume just in general. And you only sell yourself to potentially get him to win this, but potentially be that AEW champion down the road. Like I feel like they see um a lot of gold in his future in the regards to AEW. So I'm gonna go with Swerve winning, but it's definitely gonna be a banger.
But can Jay White take yet another loss this soon after, of course, losing to MJF in that, controversial fashion, if you want to call it that, where he kind of looked a bit like an idiot?
I think he could. I feel his character is set to where he's able to take losses just because people don't like him that much at this point where
True.
he is hated as a heel towards the fans where Swerve is the polar opposite. He's a heel, but people will love him. Like everyone likes him. He's one of those cool heels. So I feel like it's a point where I don't think it's gonna like bury Jay White. To he's got time to build his way back up. I
Yeah.
don't understand why people will feel like it's the end of the world if people take losses. Like it's pro wrestling. You could easily heat them back up with a couple wins and whatnot. So
No, you're undoubtedly right, especially now they've scrapped that, the rating system, the ranking system that they used to have, because a lot of people like that. Like, I like the idea behind it, but, like, the entire thing with professional wrestling is you got to take losses because you can't protect everybody. And sometimes you do need to forget, like, so-and-so, has now got a title shot, but 2 months ago they lost 3 matches in a row. You kind of do just have to forget that, and this is one of those examples.
Yeah, I mean, it like to your point, it would make sense to put it to a draw. I'm not saying it won't be that. It'd be a good opportunity to do that. But I don't know, man. I just see I feel like riding with the hot hand would make sense, but I'm not opposed to either way. I'm just excited that we get to see the match.
So am I. It's going to be a good one, isn't it? And last but certainly not least, we have John Moxley taking on Jay Lethal. There's a lot of J's in this group. Oh my gosh. I've missed another goal. We're 3-0 up. What's happening, Carter? I don't know, but...
No!
Yeah, come on! But Arsenal are champions, but will John Moxley once again be a champion? Because he has an opportunity to, if he wins the Continental Classic, but will he beat Jay Lethal tonight? What are your thoughts, Carter?
Ben, when you said it's a draw, I thought you were talking about this match because I thought the last one was for sure in the bag. But I don't know. I mean, it depends on, like you said, I mean, personally, I think Mark Briscoe is going to end up against Danny Garcia at the end of this thing. No, I mean, it's do they want to bury Jay Lethal and Mark Briscoe on this side of the brackets on the gold end of the tournament? And Mox is a little binged up. John the Plumber after bleeding all over the ring last week.
Renee's into the chat.
But I mean, I think generally speaking, John, it makes more sense to have him go over as he kind of barrels towards the top end of his division. But I don't know. I think it would be a little unfair to kind of bury Jay like this. I think this is a good opportunity to kind of maybe give John the draw if you want to give the tournament to Swerve or my boy Jay White over there, Mr. Pirates of the Caribbean. No, I mean, I think it's either a John win or a draw. And I'm going with my official prediction at draw, just so they don't completely bury Jay Lethal in this thing.
So the one thing which this panel pretty much universally agrees on today is that one of these matches will end in a draw. But the irony is we all disagree on which one it is that's going to end in that draw. But I mean, yeah, it's what you said, Carter. They can't make Jay Lethal look like an idiot in this. Because he is a great wrestler, but in AEW so far, he kind of has just looked like, I don't want to say a lackey for, what's his name, Jeff Jarrett. I don't know why his name went out of my head then, but it's not like he's come across as a lackey for him, but he's kind of come along, in his group of, gangsters. By the way, it's 4-0 up. What is happening, Carter? We've suddenly become good. I feel like it's this shirt, my new Arsenal shirt. That's just a good luck charm. Because, I mean, yeah, but we do have a couple of comments here that I do want to address before we move on. We got Bobby Petito saying he's looking forward to Swerve Jay White. I'll second that, Bobby. And number one Superfly is saying having Brian wrestle 2 matches in one week, I presume is what you're saying, especially when he suffered an injury, is a little bit reckless. I'd agree, it's certainly risky. It really is, especially with the Tokyo Dome coming up. And number one Superfly is predicting that John Moxley wins due to Jeff accidentally hurting Jay with a guitar. That would make sense, apart from Jay Lethal would then be disqualified from the entire tournament because there's nobody allowed at ringside or it's an immediate disqualification. Tony Khan has indeed confirmed. But now let's move on, and let's move on to the TNT champion. Everybody's favorite father figure. And of course, that man is Christian Cage, the man who runs the patriarchy, and the man who is just, he's an idol in the eyes of Nick Wayne and Killshot. We no longer call him by that hideous old name of Luchasaurus, now known as Killshot. Now, of course, the last 2 weeks, Adam Copeland, that disgusting man, absolutely sickening man, has hurt Nick Wayne and Killshot. So now Christian Cage is all alone, having to fight for his family. And it's absolutely sickening. And beyond this, Adam Copeland has decided to challenge the good old Christian to a match. And this is just, it's infuriating to me. But I do hope that on Dynamite, Christian Cage accepts this challenge and exposes what a narcissist Adam Copeland truly is. Shad, what are your thoughts on the patriarchy, and should Christian Cage accept this challenge tonight?
I mean, yeah. Who is Adam Copeland to tell him that he's that? When Adam Copeland basically was the same exact thing he's defining with the Judgment Day, right?
I
Like he was
know.
using all of them for that reason. So, Mister,
Well, let's not imply Christian Cage is using anybody. Come on. He's not
sorry.
using anybody.
Apologies about that. Nah, I in all seriousness, it's to a point where I'm definitely excited for it. I think Christian will respond back. He may not accept it initially, but we are gonna, kick the tires and get this match between both of them on the road, and that's something that I'm looking forward to because this is a big reason why Copeland is here. He wants to end off his career working with his best friend, and having this dynamic with both of them in this day and age is so intriguing to me. Just following both of them from the beginning of them both being part of the Brood to where we are now, and all that they've accomplished on and having it on AEW is super fascinating. I feel that Christian is deemed himself probably one of the best heels of 2023. You can argue he may be the best heel in 2023. And Edge is someone that we've got an opportunity of missed time with and never thought he'd come back, is doing something brand new. And I think they're going to tell an incredible story. I told y'all before, I feel like this is the first, you know, bump in the road where we have them fight. It may lead to a couple matches, maybe two matches, but this is that brotherly matchup where they going to just have to get with each other and tassel it out, and they're going to eventually lead to Edge and Christian reuniting down the road, or Copeland and Cage. Maybe that's better than Edge and Christian, right? Down the road as a tag team. It being for the TNT title is the one that has my interest though, because I want to see Edge as TNT champion. I feel that him being TNT champ and it being a TV title and that allowing him to kind of be given the opportunity to shake it up with a lot of great young talent on AEW, give us a lot of these dream matches we want. I feel like that'd be incredible. So, all in all, I'm excited for it. Christian, accept the challenge. Let's get this set up.
Absolutely, and I agree with you. Adam Copeland as TNT champion, in all seriousness, would be very entertaining. Uh, and this is me being completely honest here too, right? My only issue is that Christian Cage, and I've already said it, I've said it before, but I'll say it again. He had so much momentum until, Adam Copeland joined the company. And I
Mm.
feel like by having Adam Copeland win the title, it kind of, I feel like it's going to be a bit of a what if situation, because I think this Cage title run had, another 6 months in it. I mean, who knows? Maybe a returning Nick Wayne and Killshot end up costing Adam Copeland the match, and Christian Cage does win and continues his title run, leading to Adam Copeland and Christian Cage down the line. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, but another point you brought up, which I did, like, is Copeland and Cage, Cage and Copeland
nice.
has a
Got
nice
rings
ring
to
to
it.
it, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
and yeah, we
does.
used to have Edge and Christian, now Cage and Copeland. They flip around their
Brown.
roles as well. Keep it fair.
I like that.
That I certainly would be down for that personally. I mean, Carter, how are you feeling about this? This storyline. How are you feeling about how they set up this stuff between Copeland and Cage? Do you think Cage will accept tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't on the show review after last week, but is everyone okay after seeing Nick Wayne's mom freaking take that chair shot? I mean, this thing's been pulling at my heartstrings, man. I I'll say this on the record. I actually cried watching that segment. Not a lot, 3 to 4 crocodile tears, but I did. I mean, so this thing's pulled me in. This thing has pulled me in. I don't know if this is going to end up with Cage and Copeland. That's good. That's smooth. Because I got to recover from calling Copeland Edge too. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, eventually we're gonna see, Christian. I can't not call them by their WWE names. Christian and Edge. I think this is heading towards a brutal grudge match. New Japan style. Sorry, Mr. QTTV. Great storytelling too. Just because it's New Japan doesn't mean the storytelling is bad. But I think it's going to lead to a grudge match. I don't know if I see them pairing up at the end of it, although that makes a lot of sense and they can run that out long term. So something like that. I do think eventually, though, you're going to see a TNT title match for these two. It's going to be ugly. There's going to be slaps. And there's going to be a great in-ring product along with a great story being told outside of it. And I might cry again. So those are my guarantees for this. But I mean, it's great storytelling, and it goes to show you don't need to just have the indie booking, and you could have great wrestling and great storytelling too. So
Yes. I mean, ideally in wrestling, they should go hand in hand. And when you do it right, that's when you hit the jackpot and earn a bunch of money. But Carter, I agree. I cried too, seeing those sickening, disgusting, disturbing. Every time I close my eyes, I can still see them. Images of Adam Copeland giving a child, practically a child, a chair shot to a head in front of his mother. I mean, it's sickening. What's wrong with Adam Copeland?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Horrible stuff. I mean, Clark, do you have an answer to these sickening, disturbing actions? Well, you're muted, so that's clearly no answer, is it?
You muted me. You muted
No, I
me.
didn't.
Yeah,
No, I
you put me
didn't.
in 10-minute timeout. I was mid-comment and mute. You muted me. I was mid-responding to the earlier comment, and you muted
It's
me, Ben.
censorship.
It's censorship. I'm kidding. I wasn't going to say anything silly. I was going to say, wasn't it risky for him to come back and then wrestle 60 minutes? Not the point. I got the comment out now anyway.
I didn't
The
even
point
mute you.
is about the. Yes, you did. The point is about the TNT Championship. Okay, look. Yes, Edge and Christian is always awesome. Adam Copeland and Christian Cage is just as cool. And we never truly got this rivalry in borderline a main event level scene in WWE. This is main event level stuff. I hope the challenge isn't accepted until it is in some way. Right? I mean, right. That just Christian, why would he? There's no reason. He's got one thing that Adam Copeland wants, and then he's actually got the other. He's got two. It's not just the TNT title, but it's his friendship back. And that's what makes this story so tantalizing. And that's what needs to be played into. We've asked AEW to tell a bunch of stories. What in the world is better than your children's godfather, your best friend in the world? They call him Uncle. They call him Uncle.
Jay.
Like
Another Jay.
Uncle Jay, like your brothers, right? There is not an easier story to tell or a better story to tell. And I'm not saying easy as in everybody can knock it out of the park, but it's just logical. And everybody wants to see it that has any sort of fandom when it comes to what they've accomplished over both of their Hall of Fame careers. Everybody wants to see that story played out because it was something that could not happen. We've talked about things that we thought could not, should not. This was something that could not happen. Career ending and walked away on your own are two different things. Right? And we've already talked about Bryan Danielson. Now we're talking about Edge and Christian. Both of them were career ending. That's never. That's not by choice. It's never. Now they're both back. Not only are they both back, they're both back in the same company and telling this story. This is one of those ones, I hate to use an old trope, let it play out. But like, let these two paint, right? When you have two artists this good, let's let them both paint and see what they can do. because at the end of the day, Adam Copeland and Christian Cage, two of my favorites of all time, did not think this was possible. And on top of that, it's history on top of history on top of history and just a complete canvas to tell a
Well,
story with.
you mentioned painting, right? I'm a big fan of Bob Ross, his quick fire paintings, but I do not want to see a Bob Ross painting, right? I want to see a painting which is going to take months to complete. That's
Picasso.
what I want to see. I want them to, take their time with it. And I agree with you. I hope Christian Cage comes out there tonight, grabs the microphone and says, no.
Yep.
How about no? Have a slice of no. That's what I want him to say. But will he? We're gonna have to kind of wait and find out what the direction they end up going in is. But Clark, do you think there's any scenario where Christian Cage keeps this TNT title?
Yes, I do actually. I think there is multiple scenarios where he keeps the TNT title. I actually think the end game scenario, that if I was booking and we're talking like within the story, in the first match, it's an absolute bloodbath and there's some sort of non-finish. I hate to be that guy, but enough that we can deal with it. And I don't mean non-finish in the sense of like it's called off or something, but whether it be an Iron Man match stipulation that leads to a draw, unfortunately, or some sort of something like that. I'm not saying interference or whatever yet. Maybe another interference. I think what happens is how we end up with the Cage and Copeland tag team, as we've mentioned. We end up with a multi-man match, and Christian is severely compromised. And Edge sacrifices himself to save Christian, but they lose the title. Or not they, he loses the title. And that's how we end up with Cage and Copeland at the end of the run. Whoever is most built up, whether it's Will Hobbs, whether it's Wardlow, whether it's whoever it may be, but Edge sacrifices himself, even though Christian ends up losing the belt because of a pin elsewhere, whether it's a fatal four-way or something, but he, in some way, sacrifices his opportunity to win the belt in a multi-man match. After the series of, whether it be a draw and then a DQ, a draw and Christian retains maybe clean, who knows? But they end up in a fatal four-way, and someone like Will Hobbs, maybe a Miro, a monster is about to really, really, really take it to Christian and hurt him, and Edge kind of sacrifices himself for that, costs himself the title in the long run. But then coming out of that is where we get the team.
What about Nick Wayne? What about Sonny Boy growing up and taking it off of Pops?
I'd like that.
Growing into that master evil mind that his dad, his new, exactly, like that positions Nick. There's something about Nick Wayne that I feel like there's like a lot of untapped potential that can like go through the roof, and that untapped potential is balled up as a heel. Like I don't, and I would have never thought that seeing him in the indie scene, being the prodigy that obviously that is within his nickname, but just being the young like kid that everyone likes, like, and he's good with his in-ring stuff. Like there's something about him that could be a really good heel.
I think it is that he's doing it so well, so young. I think ultimately that is like, everybody deep down hates that.
I was going to say, on top of that, you could have him be the fourth in that match, and then he ends up stealing the victory.
Yeah.
Somehow, right? And you hand him a partner too. Now you have a tag team rivalry out of the gates to build Edge and Christian, aka Cage and Copeland, towards the tag team title picture. That's not a horrible idea either.
I like that idea. When we say it,
a made man after that.
Yeah, absolutely. He really, really would. And we've said it, before, but we want Edge and Christian. We don't want them to do a Cody Rhodes and finish the story. We want them to tell us one. But guys, what I'd really like you guys to do is hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube, the follow on Spotify and Twitch, and also a cheeky 5 stars on Spotify would make my week. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to Clark, thank you to Shad, and thank you to Carter for joining me here today for this great show. And also thank you to Arsenal, who are currently still winning 4-0. But on that note, guys, we will see you tomorrow, the slightly later start time of 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, and 11 p.m. UK for Throwback Thursday with Clark, the Tuesday Night Delight Shard, and Anthony Ricciardi. We'll see you guys then. Peace!